And welcome into a, well, East Coast time, very late night edition of the Football Friday show. Because guess what? It is still Friday in Colorado and California. So full disclosure, we had the fights tonight in Atlantic City. A great turnout for Boxing Insider Promotions, Tropicana showroom in Atlantic City. Amazing fight night. Justin Figueroa completely dominated and retained his NABF belt. Resilient wins, I'll call it, for Bruce Seldon Jr. and Leah Lewandowski. I was very happy to see them both win their fights, and I thought it was very interesting that both of them took something very different in those fights. So that was just some of the great fights on the card tonight. All the local fighters won, so that's always a cool thing. Great crowd, great energy in the building. So that's why I'm late getting back to the studio, and I had to finish taking my notes. I have way too much pride. Full disclosure, guys, I understand that, I don't have to do this. I spend so much of my days, and I'm just being transparent with everybody. I spend so much of my days working that I'm sure a lot of people would say, Josh, just go home. Josh, just sleep. Josh, don't go to the gym. Josh, you don't need to do all this extra stuff, right? And I have too much professional pride. I have too much. There's just too much of a commitment I had. I made a commitment to do this show. I made a commitment to do the Saturday show. I've made a commitment to do things, and I feel it's my obligation to follow through on those things. And when I'm done here with this little show, I'm going to go home and sleep, and then we'll be back in less than 12 hours here at 973 ESPN to do Hanging with Hennig. And we'll have college football talk on tomorrow. Mikey V from the great follow on social media. He is one of the co-hosts of the Brilliantly Stupid Show podcast. Don't get it twisted. That's the name of the podcast doesn't reflect what it really is, but he's a great guest. We'll have him on tomorrow. Of course, Andy McNamara, Rob Motti from the AP, Andy McNamara Fantasy Football. But we're gonna get these picks, and we're not gonna spend a lot of time with it. I'm not gonna. In fact, we're not even doing NFL picks tonight. I'm just gonna do the college football, and I'm gonna go home. And at some point before 12 o'clock on Sunday morning, we will hop on here and do NFL stuff. So, like I said, it's late. I'm tired. I don't spend a lot of time getting into minutia here. So I appreciate everybody who tunes in each and every week, whether you watch the show live or watch the next morning when you wake up with your coffee before the games. Just to remind everybody again, all of our lines, all of our betting odds are brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook, the only sportsbook app offering you Caesars rewards. Also, Tropicana showroom Tropicana Atlantic City, the Gridiron Pit. The ultimate watch and wager experience with massive TVs and table games. So, thanks to them for helping make this possible. And of course, yesterday's Creekside Tavern on Roosevelt Boulevard in Marmora. Work of Art Construction here in South Jersey. And our newest sponsor will be telling you more about Prevail Nutrition tomorrow on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. All right. This is the third straight week. We are coming off of a 8-4. So we have been 8-4, 3 straight weeks. We finished the month of October really strong. We are up to 64.5% on the picks. We are 78-43 now. So let's get to the picks. Like I said, we're not going to spend a ton of time as we usually do on these picks. I've probably spent too much time elaborating on stuff at this point. So here we go. BYU at Texas Tech. So this game is going to, first of all, it's a 12 o'clock game, which is wild, right? If you would have said before the year that BYU and Texas Tech were going head-to-head for Big 12 supremacy, I think people will call you nuts. But except me. Because if you would have listened months ago here on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig, BYU was one of the teams that I picked the team total on the over. So, and if you were listening to our conversation with Pam Maldonado a month ago, she picked Texas Tech on the over. So we saw it. Everyone else didn't see it. But it's because of how much I believe in BYU and Texas Tech that I am taking BYU to cover the 10-point spread. These are two of the best defenses in the Big 12 Conference. BYU is allowing 17 points per game against. Texas Tech, 13 points per game against. And this is a unstoppable force and movable object kind of matchup, right? Because BYU has one of the best passing defenses in college football. And Texas Tech's best skill offensively is passing the football. So it's like it neutralizes itself. On the flip side, BYU, one of the best running offenses in the Big 12. Texas Tech has the number one run defense in all of college football. So now the strength of BYU is neutralized by the strength of Texas Tech. Offense and defense. That's why my projected score for this game is 30-24. I think there's so many points scored in this game, but I think that these are two of the best teams in that conference. And I don't know if BYU is going to win the game, but I feel very comfortable saying they're not going to lose by 10 or more points. And if the flat 10 worries you, listen, if you want to buy up a half a point, 2.5 points, that's up to you. But I just telling you guys, this is one of the biggest games of the weekend. It will determine the Big 12 champion potentially and the college football playoffs. BYU at Texas Tech. Again, my pick is BYU to cover the 10 points. To the Big 10 we go. Indiana at Penn State. Look, we all know who this is. Indiana, great team. Penn State, not good team. Indiana has won by 10 or more points in 8 of their 9 games this season, while Penn State's defense is allowing 31.4 points per game against in the last 5 games during their losing streak. My projected score for this game is 34-18, and that would cover the 14.5 point spread for Indiana. Texas A&M, Missouri. Listen, this game is more about Missouri than Texas A&M, honestly. Missouri's playing their backup quarterback, and that's not good news against Texas A&M defense that has only allowed 25 or more points, or over 25 points to 2 teams all year, and they are 2 of the best offenses in all of college football, Arkansas and Notre Dame. Texas A&M is going to dominate this game. I don't know why it's only 6.5 is the number. I see some books have it 7.5, but at Caesars Sportsbook, we're using that number 6.5. My projected score for this game is Texas A&M to win it 30-18, which will cover the 6.5 point spread. I think Texas A&M defense is going to dominate a young, inexperienced quarterback from Missouri. Again, they're playing their backup quarterback. This isn't the shenanigans that Texas did last week. For those who don't know, us here, Josh Hennig, on my YouTube channel, at Josh Hennig on X, we were duped with everybody else. I fell victim. I led everybody astray, just like every other media person, okay? We were all manipulated. We were all lied to. We were all told, and we were all led to believe that Arch Manning was not going to play last week. And then all of a sudden, very late Friday night, early Saturday morning, all of a sudden the news comes out, Arch Manning's going to play. This isn't happening. Missouri's quarterback is legitimately injured. This isn't a Texas A&M playing some sort of WWE shenanigans, okay? All right, next game, Duke at UConn. Look, I don't understand why UConn is such a heavy dog in this game. You know, UConn is 3-1 against the spread this year, 4-0 overall at home. And they're playing a Duke squad that's inconsistent. Duke dominated Illinois and Georgia Tech. They got dominated by Illinois and Georgia Tech. So you have 2 schools that are not great schools who destroyed you, but yet they beat Clemson in Death Valley. They went on the road for a huge win. So who is Duke? I don't know. I know who UConn is. UConn is well coached. Jim Mora Jr. is doing a really good job with the UConn program. UConn being an underdog by almost 10 points. No, I'm not riding with that. I think my projected score for this game is 33-29. I don't see a scenario where UConn loses by double digits in this game. I just don't see it. I don't see how a team that is 4-0 at home against a team that is one of the most inconsistent teams in all of college football. Listen, Duke got smashed by Illinois. Not supposed to believe they're just going to go to UConn. These are college kids. You're coming off a huge win. This is the perfect letdown game. We're just playing UConn. You don't think UConn's been preparing for this game all week with the intent to take out Duke and all of their hopes and dreams of a major bowl game? Of course they are. Come on. All right. What do we got? 2 more games? All right, a couple more games. Washington and Wisconsin. Again, this is another one of those, like the Texas A&M game. This is an example of it's more about the bad team than the good team. Washington has only lost 2 games this year, and that's the Ohio State and Michigan. Those are arguably 2 of the best losses in all of college football, right? So the 6-2 Washington Huskies team is going on the road to one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. The Wisconsin Badgers have lost 6 straight games by an average of 23 points. Let me repeat that again. The Wisconsin Badgers football team, during their 6-game losing streak that they are currently on, they have lost by an average of 23 points a game. I think Wisconsin's going to fire Lou Fickell either in season or after the season. He has been an absolute disaster, and it's such a shame because I think Lou Fickell's a good football coach, but for whatever reason, it's not working in Wisconsin. And I don't know what it is about Wisconsin right now, but it feels like they are so. I mean, was it just the Brett Bielema hire? Was it a miscalculation on Luke Fickell? I mean, I don't know. It's a conversation the other day, but it really feels like Wisconsin's falling apart. So give me Washington to cover the 11 points or 11.5, and what book you use over at Wisconsin. All right. Back to the ACC, Florida State at Clemson. I'm not picking a side. I'm picking over 56 in this game. My projected score for this game is 32-28. Defense is optional. Let's be realistic. Both of these teams are allowing 27 points per game against in their last 5. I'm not kidding. Both Florida State and Clemson are allowing the same exact number of points in their last 5 games. It's uncanny how bad these defenses have played in the last month plus. Florida State and Clemson, they both came into the year with a lot of high expectations, and both of them have come back down to earth. And now you're seeing a situation where both teams trying to salvage their seasons. And when you're trying to salvage your season, the offenses usually get the keys to the car, right? Defenses are told to just do their best and let the offense do their thing. Like I said, I have this as a high-scoring game. The last over-under I saw today was over 56. So that's what we're riding with. The over 56 for Florida State versus Clemson. Final college football game we're going to hit on right now. Nebraska at UCLA. I'm also going over in this game. This is another game where I feel like the odds makers are grossly underestimating the state of the teams they're picking. And this is kind of what we do here on, Football Friday, late night, whatever you want to call it. Josh drinking, what is this? Earl Grey tea and peppermint tea. Just trying to keep the antioxidants and all that good stuff up. But, typically, again, I've been doing this since 2018. And if I've noticed anything, is that a lot of these odds makers don't actually know the teams. They're just running numbers. And so that's where we try to offset just being a pure analytics picking show and try to be more of a little bit of the numbers, a little bit of the optics. The optics tell me that UCLA has been a better team since they fired Deshaun Foster. and the numbers back it up. They are averaging 24.6 points per game since firing Foster as our head coach. So this is a team that could barely score. They had trouble scoring at all in these games. And now they're basically an average college football team. They went from being a horrible offense to an average offense just by firing the head coach. Meanwhile, Nebraska's defense is allowing 25.6 points per game against in their last 6, in which they're 3-3. Nebraska is another team, one of these teams that came into the year like Florida State, like Clemson, with level of expectation, and they haven't really met it, right? And I think part of the reason why Matt Rule is not leaving Nebraska for other jobs and not even considering them is because I think he feels like he owes something to the people of Lincoln, Nebraska, to fully turn this program around, to not just get them to a certain level and then bounce. I have to take him at his word. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who flippantly leaves, right? Rule didn't leave Temple until the Temple job was fully resurrected. He didn't leave Baylor until the job was fully resurrected. I think he's doing the same thing in Nebraska. And I think that the defensive issues are in part because they're younger this year than last year. They graduated a handful of guys from the program. Most notably, Ty Robinson, who's now in the Philadelphia Eagles, was a huge part of the defense last year. And the other part of Nebraska is, as I said, they're a young team. And it's hard to develop continuity when your guys are so inexperienced. So that's kind of how I look at this game. Now, the numbers say, I ran through my formula, 31-22 is the final score I have for this game. And, well, that's well over 43.5. So we're going over in Nebraska and UCLA, not just because we ran the numbers through the number machine, but also, listen, with my own 2 eyes, I see that UCLA is a better team that started the year, and Nebraska's defense is not good. So that's Football Friday picks. We'll do the NFL at some point before kickoff on Sunday. Like I said, late night, late show. I got to try to get some sleep tonight. All right, coming up, also, if you're subscribed to my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig, you heard me mention Mikey V. The interview with Mikey V will be exclusive to YouTube tomorrow morning, or shall I say about 10 hours from now. So that will be exclusive to YouTube. You cannot get it before the radio show anywhere else, because we're talking college football. And not that anything we said is necessarily dated, but we did want to get that video up for everybody if you didn't want to wait until the noon kickoff. So, maybe while you're waiting for the pick'em segments on Big Noon Saturday and on College Game Day, you catch our conversation with Mikey V. We talk about the college football playoff standings. We talk about, we recorded a couple days ago. So he was gracious because, he's busy on Saturday. He couldn't come on the radio show live, but we still appreciate him making the time. And I wanted to get that to you guys as soon as possible. So here's the lineup. So we're going to finish the Football Friday show probably in a couple minutes. Tomorrow morning, that's going to drop around 10:30 a.m., the Mikey V conversation about college football, different teams. And then we'll be going live with Hanging with Hennig, 97.3 ESPN FM. Streaming live on YouTube and X at Josh Hennig in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio. And then we'll do the full 3-hour show tomorrow. So you can either catch the Mikey V conversation during the show tomorrow, or you can catch the YouTube exclusive. All right. So that's what I got for you guys. Thank you for watching. Whether you're watching live, whether you're watching later on, please hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit that little alert button so you know when I'm going live on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig. Hit the little alert button on X so you know when I'm going live and what I'm doing on the X platform. Thanks to all of you for watching. I am going to go home and get some sleep. Take care, everybody.